Hello, and welcome to The Storied Human. I'm Lynn Thompson, and today I have a really interesting guest, Ms. Traci Neal. She's a neurodivergent spoken word artist. I've never had one before. I'm really excited to talk to her. She's listed on Poets and Writers residing in Columbia, South Carolina. She's featured in the New York Times Mahogany Hallmark Writing Community, the Elevation Review, 1619 Speaks Anthology in 2023, the Sims Library of Poetry, and many other media publications. In 2023, she was a Pushcart Prize nominee for the Elevation Review, longlisted for the African Diaspora Award with Kingsman Quarterly, the second place poetry winner of the National Career Development Association, and the second place poetry winner of the South Carolina Career Development Association. Neal uses her poetry platform to help bring awareness to nonprofits in need worldwide. So, welcome, Traci. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so good to have you. I'm so glad you reached out. I have to say, I love writers. I love poetry. I love talking about it. And I love that you're a neurodivergent person getting your words out into the world. That's even more special. And just tell me a little bit about how this started. I know we chatted very briefly, but I'd like my listeners to hear how you started doing spoken word poetry, because it's different from, just writing poetry.
I started when I was 14. My mother introduced me to it. We went to South Carolina Book Festival at the time. It's no longer in existence, but they had an open mic room, and a lot of the people in there were older than me. They were people, adults, and I was this young teenager in there. And so I was listening to them read, and my mom encouraged me to go up there and read a poem because I had actually got my poetry in a folder and just took it with me. And so I actually didn't read, I performed, and she told me I had a gift.
That is so cool. It's so great that you discovered it at a young age and that you were supported because who knows when you would have found that. I love that your mother was involved with that. And you said there was a teacher too. There was a good teacher at school that encouraged you to write poetry.
Yes, my seventh grade teacher, she wanted the class to write a poetry book, so that exposed me more to the genre. I was a little familiar with poetry already, but I got in depth into wanting to write it more with my seventh grade teacher.
Don't you love teachers? It really just takes one and they can change our lives.
Yes.
I love that. When I was in fourth grade, we had to write a novel. And I remember saying, like, how am I going to do that? But she just said, we'll start with a story and you can make illustrations. And we all wrote a book in fourth
That's
grade. I
that is
think
awesome.
maybe, well, I think maybe we're all more capable of what than we think we are. And
Yes,
teachers
I
bring
agree.
that out in you.
Mhm.
So what kinds of nonprofit support work do you do? I'm really interested at that intersection between your gift and supporting nonprofits.
So I like to look for nonprofits that are really trying to give back to help their community. And I'm also big on the youth, young people. That has to do with my neurodivergence, I've learned. But anything that is like positive, uplifting, trying to help the community, I'm a big supporter of that, especially if they're like just starting out. I want to use my name to help, bring awareness to them.
So good. Now, how do you do that? Do you get involved in projects or how do you help them?
I help through either using my poetry to bring more awareness to them or just researching how I can help. I'm a big personal person, so I like to interact and reach out to the leaders to see how I could help and give back. So it's been a very good experience. I've built a lot of relationships and been able to help people throughout South Carolina and the world because I just like I said I guess I'm that go-to. I'll just reach out and see take a chance to see who I can help.
That's so good. I feel like you found your lane, like you really did. You found your path.
Yes.
So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Because you're
I'm
pretty young.
34.
to be doing this.
34.
Okay, so you look much younger than you are, but bless
Oh
you,
yeah.
that's still young for worldwide reach. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, how are you neurodivergent? Like, how can we understand where you are?
So I hope I'm not going to be offensive to anyone, but I had to connect it to my spirituality because I'm autistic and I have ADHD. So I tell people I am like a big kid. Like I have the mindset of a child with my autism, and with my ADHD, I'm hyperactive, high energy like a child. So naturally, I am not able to come up with words like the poetry on my own. It's truly given to me by God. So I tell people God gives me the words, I share the message,
Yeah,
but the way that I'm able to perform that ties into my neurodivergence.
I
I'm
love that.
nonverbal. I'm
I love
nonverbal.
that.
I can thrive,
Yeah,
with music and
yeah.
performing and that this interaction right here, I'm great. But writing things down, I'm like, my brain, because
Well,
I'm so literal.
everybody's got a different gift. I have a stepson who's autistic, and he's actually phenomenal when he writes to me. He's incredible. He's so detailed and so caring. He can really emote when he writes to me. But in person, it's harder. In person, I have to work harder to get the feelings out. But it really helps me understand when people share with me what it's like. And there's so many positives to it that I love, right? The high energy and that childlike wonder with the world. The whole thing just makes sense to me. And also, I am very spiritual. I believe that you're a channel. You're a channel for a beautiful God energy because you just let it come through you. And I think that's the same thing in church when people, speak out or they sing or, there's just this wonderful connection that some people have. And it sounds like you have that. So
I've been told
I think
you have a
so.
light.
I think so. And I think that the more we understand about neurodivergent people, the more we get that it's really a gift in a way that we
Mhm.
just haven't recognized and that we have to embrace people for who they are, not just like, oh, you're not in this box, something's wrong with you. That's the old way, right? The new way
Mhm.
is, oh, you're this way, cool. You have energy and you have we all do. We have a gift. We all have our gifts. I love that. So what do you tend to write about? Like, is there a theme that you tend to perform? Or I'm really interested in the types of work that you tend to do.
So I do a lot of stuff from personal experiences, but I feel like a lot of the poems are a call to action. I want people to feel empowered that they can put themselves into the poem and relate to it somehow and better themselves. Like, I think I can get through this, like a difficult season, a difficult time. That's what's been so impactful is the messages, that resonate with people and make them want to be better and do better.
Well, that's just a beautiful way to be in the world. That's a beautiful force in the world. We need more of that, to encourage people and support people. So if people want to hear you, can they go online somewhere and hear you, or can they read your poems? Is there a place they can go?
Yes, my website is like the one-stop shop. Yeah,
Okay.
so people like everything, what I've done, who I've collaborated with the nonprofits, everything. It's all there.
Okay. And what's your website? And I'll put it in the show notes too, but I would like you to say it for us so we know where it is.
Yes, it's Traci Neal, speakerpoet.com.
Okay. And people can reach out to you there, or do you like email, or is that okay? Or
Email is fine.
okay. And what's your email?
It's info at tracinealspeakerpoet.com.
That's great. So is there anything else that you would like to tell us about? Because I think you have a bunch of things to say that I haven't asked you yet. Perhaps.
Yes, I just want to share my story because I feel like with neurodivergence, there's kind of a certain narrative that is displayed, geniuses, and those that like are thriving and things. But I think when people hear about me and they're like, you have a mindset of a child, you act like a child, but there's this amazing poetry going on. Like, how's that work? But it just comes from my faith, and um, it's pure. It's a pure ness that I just love, and I tell people, find your peace. I have my peace, and my peace has allowed me to be able to help people and give back and empower those around me. I think one person can make a difference. We all can make a difference individually, but sometimes we just need that push. We just need that person that will just tell us, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can move forward. And so I want to be that person, because I feel like growing up being different, I grew up being told you're different, but I didn't know why I was different. So now I can be that person for someone, that may feel different, and may like, where do I fit into this world? So
That's so lovely. Yeah, you're a great example. I really like when people have that urge to give back when they find out something about themselves and they're like, wait a minute, I can inspire others. I don't have to have younger people feeling like I did, like, oh, I'm different, but why or how or what do I do now? So that really makes me feel good. So when you got out of high school, did you go to a college? Did you go through a 4-year college?
I did, and it's so funny. I have a bachelor's and a master's. I have a bachelor's from University of South Carolina in Columbia, and a master's at University of Phoenix online, and I don't remember any of it. Basically, after elementary school, I don't remember any of it. So
Regular education, right? It's hard when you're not like typical, right? Neurotypical. I think it's hard. That's why I asked. And what did you
oh,
major in for bachelor's degree?
my bachelor's degree, I majored in English, and
Perfect. That's what I pictured.
yes, master's degree was educational studies.
Oh,
But
perfect though. No, I'm sure some of it got through. You just don't
yeah,
remember like the experience, but that's so
the
cool
experience
because
is not the learning part.
right. What's funny is when you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, she's doing for others what her teacher did for her. So you have like that teacher vibe for me, like you really have that urge to like teach and support. It makes sense that you continued into educational studies. It all makes sense, it really does. So is there anything that
I
you,
actually wanted to be a teacher.
yeah,
Like,
it
that's what I
shows.
thought I was gonna be.
It shows. I've always loved teaching. Like I'm a technical writer, but I'm also a creative writer. And on the side, I've always tutored English. I don't want a class. I'm not that kind of teacher. I'm more like a tutor. And I really get a lot of satisfaction out of it. Like helping, I see it as a very supportive activity. I like to help people speak English or write English, or it's mostly English. And there's a lot of people I work with now whose language, it's not English is not their first language. And so they need, they're really smart. Their English is good, but writing is a little harder for them. And I really enjoy working with them to just tweak what, not change or rewrite what they're saying, but to help them bring it out, bring the message out and tweak it. And it really is fun. I love to teach and to tutor. I really like that feeling. So I think I get what you do, like what you like to do. And also I wanted to ask, do you get to perform like regularly out in public spaces? Do you still do that?
I still do that. I did it more last year, but it's the start of this year. But
Yeah.
I really want to be able to utilize that to help young people to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to collaborate. Won't tell all the details, but trying to collaborate for a festival to expose the youth, but also like I would be a slam coach to help them with their
Perfect. That's
poetry.
perfect.
So I that's what I like to do, because I believe in the next generation. I want them
Yes.
to thrive more than me. I'm just, making that pathway for them to
Yeah.
be easier to just come on through. So
And there's the teacher girl again.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I
ma'am.
love that. No, I love that so much. I can see you running workshops. I can see you being involved in a festival. It all makes sense to me and it all feels so positive and uplifting. It's really great to talk to you about it. Is there any way that we could do you have like videos on your website? Like we can actually see
Oh,
you
yes,
doing it?
yes,
Oh, good, good, good. Because I'm dying to do that now that I've talked to you. And I'm sure
yes.
that my listeners are dying to do it too.
And I was on TV locally and I performed, so.
Oh, wonderful. And do you ever get nervous? Like, do you get like stage fright or get scared before you do it?
No, now when I was younger, I did, but not so much
Not
now. You
now.
you get used to it.
I was
That's
going
that
to say,
repetition. That's the
you,
repetition. Like
you're
once you
just
do
so,
it
yeah, right,
more,
right.
it's just second nature.
That's so good. So now it's really part of you and you don't have to worry about getting nervous.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you would like people to know about? Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I don't have anything to drink either. Darn. Anything you'd like us to know? Like anything that we haven't talked about?
Just just to remember that it doesn't matter where you start, just get started. Because I think sometimes people think that you have to have a certain go a certain pathway like other people. And
Yes.
that's not always the case. That was not the case with me. I came out um, being a pre-K aide. So before I started my poetry business, I was a pre-K aide. I was a teacher assistant. And I didn't have an MFA, a master's in fine arts. I didn't have, what I guess the credentials to just embark on this, but I just took a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And, even with the rejections that you might get in the beginning, you keep going because I was on one podcast and I loved what this lady quoted. You're not everybody's cup of tea. So you have to find where you fit. And so that was me. I just had to find where I fit. And I tell people I guess the shift of my mindset was when I got in the New York Times because I had experienced so much rejection before then. And so to get in the New York Times was like, wow, I can use my voice to help empower people. And that's what I did when I submitted, to the publication. And it was my third time submitting. I got rejected 2 times by them. But the third time, my mindset was different. I was like, let me share my experience because I feel like my vulnerability can help somebody. So I was willing to be more vulnerable and utilize that to give voice, to empower people. And so that was the shift that I'm like, let me use my voice to help uplift people because we all can do better and be better, but we need each other. That's the thing that
Yeah,
people
we
don't
do.
realize. We need each other,
We do.
So.
We're not separate. I love that story and I love how you persisted. And I learned how to podcast from a famous podcaster, Kathy Heller, and she used to say, I loved how she said this. She said, "Look, if I'm making sense and you want to take my course, because she had this wonderful free 5-day thing. I mean, 5 days of her live. She said, that's great, but if this isn't, hitting you right, or you want to find another teacher, that's fine. Find the teacher that works for you. If this isn't working for you, I'm not your person." And I just thought, what elegance, what confidence, I'm not your person. And you'll find your person. And I was sitting there like screaming at the screen, "You're my person." It's like, I just was like, no, no, you're my person. Because I just really loved how she talked about mindset, like a lot of the things that you're saying about persistence, about failing, continuing to fail until you make it. And the only thing that really is a failure is not doing it, is stopping doing it. And you didn't do that. You just kept going. I love that. I don't think we were raised that way. We're kind of raised, I was raised to be like scared and more careful, right? Like I
Yes,
was
I
raised that
was
if
too.
you, right, like what they're trying to protect you. Our parents didn't mean to raise us to be scared, but they would say like, "Oh, well, that wasn't for you." Like if you fail once, right? "Oh, well, that wasn't for you." And that's not really how I look at things now. I look at things more like what you're describing. It's like, well, maybe I just don't have the right mindset, or I'm not talking to the right people, or I haven't like, to me, it sounds like you refined and clarified your vision and you came there open. to the times, that third time, you came open and told your own story. And, there's just nothing as irresistible as authenticity. When somebody just is themselves, that's like hard to resist. So I think you did everything right. And it's obvious that you did, because look at your hit rate and the things that you've been able to do. And I love talking to you, and I hope you keep in touch with us. And I'm going to tell everybody where to go to see you performing and to hear more about what you do. It's been really great talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Your energy's like jumping off the screen for me. I love it.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Yes.
Thank you.